Welcome in, everybody. It is Friday, March 13th, here on bodyslam.net. I'm Max Sinderberg. I'm joined by my co-host Blackhawk. Welcome into episode 13, Tour of Japan, a all-Japanese pro wrestling podcast that you can only find on bodyslam.net. Really excited for us to be back. It's been around like 3 or 4 weeks since we've been together, but it's been just a crazy schedule to begin the year for both of us. We've either had dates where we've been consistent on Tour of Japan, and then we've had, it's funny, there have been times where we've had literally nothing to talk about, and those are the days that we're available. And then the days that we need to talk about things, either I was like the night of the Japan show that we're going to talk about, I was at that show, so I didn't have time to do the podcast before we went. And then we've had times where we're going to talk, and then both of us had stuff come up. So I'm very happy that Blackhawk and I won't just be here today. We'll be with you on Sunday into Monday morning talking about AEW Revolution with Corey. So this show, we're going to be talking about New Beginning in U.S., which I was physically at the show, my experience, and we'll break down some of the wins, the losers on the card. The War Dogs, we talked about for, I think, months now. We've been speculating, where are they going to go? Who's going where? We're going to break down because it's finally over. The drama, the rumors, the speculation's over. We know where all of the Bullet Club War Dogs are now, post-Bullet Club disintegrating at the beginning of this year. And then because Blackhawk and I are doing the post show on Sunday, we're going to go through each match and give us our predictions for Evolution. But Blackhawk, how you doing on this Friday afternoon?
I'm doing good. I got home early from work, so I'm feeling pretty good. Had a pretty good day so far.
Yeah.
We're getting to do this again, which is awesome. Makes me happy. Then we got a full night ahead of just doing whatever I want. So looking forward to the rest of the day today. It's going to be a good one.
Nothing beats that. It's weird here in Philadelphia. This week it was finally like over 70 degrees for the first time in like months. And then last night it downpoured and now it's below 50 degrees again. I'm like, I just want it for like a week straight of just consistently good weather. But
it's been like in the 70s and 80s here. And then all of a sudden yesterday, it was just in the 40s.
That's what it was.
It was in the 40s today too. I was like, what happened? Like I left my house just expecting it to be like 68. And it was 39 degrees. And I was like, I don't have a jacket. I was like, I got to get to work. I got to go.
And I woke up yesterday, I was in shorts and a t-shirt, and then I looked outside. It was downpour. I'm like, what? I was like, it was 75 degrees yesterday. Like, why is it cold now? But we're going to bring the brightness to everyone's day, hopefully on a Friday. If you're with us anywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, please hit that like button as well. It really helps get our podcast out to more people. If you're in the comments, please comment away. We love having a fun discussion with you. Also, if you're watching on, because we didn't know we were doing the show until a couple hours ago. So if you are watching this on, how do you call it? The rewind or whatever you call it, the old, not live with us on YouTube or anything like that, please comment. We'll definitely follow along with you guys as well. So let's start before we get into the actual show and wrestling, let's just start the show with the War Dogs talk. We have been nonstop talking about this on this podcast. Where was Gabe Kidd and David Finley and Drilla Maloney and Clark Connors and all of these people going to end up? And the beginning of the year, we knew that Drilla Maloney was staying in New Japan, made that big announcement. Clark Connors, also at the beginning of the year, announced that he himself was going to AEW, leaving New Japan. And then we were in that Gabe Kidd, not sure if he was half AEW, half New Japan. Seems like he's full on AEW at this point. And then you have David Finley, who was the biggest speculation free agent in wrestling to begin the year, where NXT seemingly created an entire faction for him to come in and lead called Birthright, which includes Finley's brother, Uriah Connors, in NXT. His father, Fit Finley, even showed up on TV this past week to set up the angle again. They were hinting at Uriah needs to make a phone call, which is trying to hint at the fact that David Finley was available. But Finley showed up on Dynamite, not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday before. They are now named just the Dogs, which I think is just a copyright thing. They can't call themselves the War Dogs, but they are just the Dogs. Finley, Connors, and Gabe are all elite. Maloney stays in New Japan. I don't find this shocking at all. The reports were Finley was offered basically an NXT opportunity with, I think it was a good contract, but the reports were that we didn't see main roster potential quickly for him. I think they assumed he would be in NXT for a year, maybe more than that. And he took the money with AEW as well, which is, I heard, was a much bigger offer money-wise as well. He wanted to be in the States, Blackhawk. That was a report. He lives in Atlanta. He has a kid, if I'm not mistaken, about to have a kid, and I think he's done going back and forth. He wants to stay in the States, and he ended up going with AEW. So we can break down, I guess, wrestler by wrestler, but what are your thoughts? Let's start with Finley, Blackhawk, because he was really the hot topic for the first 3 months of the year.
Yeah, I assumed he would go to WWE with like all the buildup that they had and the family members he has over there. And then I saw like the reports about the contract and saw the crew that they were putting together for him, and I was like, yeah, I hope he goes to AEW. I hope he turns around on that deal, and I'm glad he did. I really enjoyed the War Dogs with New Japan, and so getting to see at least a portion of them back with AEW is fantastic. I am very glad that he has swerved that NXT ordeal, because God, that faction just does not excite me at all. There's nothing good going on over there.
Someone who watches every week, like it's not a great faction. They just added Charlie Dempsey this week, so they had Regal and Fifth Finley himself come out to start. But yeah, I think everyone agreed from like a story perspective, this was probably the better move. It's funny now with AJ Styles retired, now Finn Balor's the lone Bullet Club leader in WWE. They're all now in AEW now with Jay White and Kenny and him now. So very fascinating. But I do think, Finley kept it really close to the best, because he did the show in Japan, the New Beginning show in Japan, and was crying. It was emotional, kind of got like a big standing ovation. Seemingly he was done. At the show I went to, he was the first match, and he didn't, and he was about to talk, and he dropped the mic, and Yuto Ice and Oscar came out, and they just did the War Dog thing. So it didn't seem like Finley was leaving New Japan. That was my takeaway, at least, from that show. But I think he is completely done with New Japan. I'm sure with the relationship, he'll be able to do particular dates if necessary. If they want him to have like a run into Wrestle Kingdom one year or anything like that. He's definitely been very in character in these interviews with people. I know Fightful had an interview with him. I know a lot of other people have had interviews with him. And the three of them, they've been very in character. So he's had some really good quotes that he's like, Fifth Finley's only his biggest achievement is me coming, me out of this situation. I was like, oh my God, this is like crazy.
Yeah.
He's
great quotes.
He's never made $1 off of his brother and his dad. Yeah. And he's made more money with Gabe and Clark. He's had some really good quotes, Blackhawk. Really good quotes.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for him. I was actually nervous because they've really been building up Gabe as kind of the leader, the alpha, I guess, of him and Clark. But based on the Finley, at least their presentation on Wednesday, they're going to be 3 equals. They're not going to be like there's a single leader. Gabe Kidd's another really interesting one. He was been Mr. New Japan for a very long time. That was the entire feud with Kenny Omega, was FAW, F all the people who don't commit to New Japan full time. I'm Mr. New Japan. I'm wearing these black tights with the New Japan logo for every match. And now, seemingly, he's also completely done with the company. He's also all elite. And there haven't been reports of it being a dual deal with Gabe. It seems like he's just AW, which I find really a shock. Now, again, these guys are not Japanese people, so I totally get them wanting to be done with the travel and things of that nature. But he hasn't missed New Japan. Now he's saying, and now he always does the thing where if he's in the company, he bashes or says F this company. Now he's F New Japan in his interview. I saw him in this week. He's all in on AEW. What are your thoughts on Gabe? I kind of was shocked him not having at least a dual back and forth situation with Japan.
I feel like he probably will, and it's just going to come down to timing.
Yeah.
New Japan's doing a lot right now. And I know with the political sphere of the world, there's a lot of talks about immigration and like moving people around and all that.
Yeah.
It might be one of those things where he's got to kind of stay put for a little bit somewhere. And he chose to stay in the US, even though
Yeah.
he's a, UK citizen. He's dating Willow Nightingale, so she's going to stay in the US. Makes
Yeah.
sense. And so he's able to take some of these AEW dates and at least make some money while he's here. But I think one of the more interesting things also about this whole thing is Gabe Kidd has been a known member of the Death Riders,
Yeah.
has never officially left the group, and now he's with a new group in AEW.
He has said in interviews
Um,
that he likes both of them. He'll do anything for Moxley still, which I find interesting.
Okay.
There's a thing still. He still loves the Death Riders, but
Yeah, do you see them being, I guess, not absorbed, but them working together in the future?
I could see, it's funny. The Dogs are going very heel, and Death Riders have become like really just tweeners at this point, depending on the feud. Like Moxley's like on the same show, for example, on Sunday, like Moxley's babyface against Takeshita, and Marina is full on a heel against Tony. There's instances where Yuta is a heel, but then he'll do a 6-man tag against Don Callis' family, and they're cheering for him. So I do think, like, if the Death Riders ever went back to being like full on heels, sure, they could be like hired guns for them, quote unquote. I don't think they should feud. The feud I actually want to see is the Bang Bang Gang against the Dogs. That's kind of the feud I want to see. There's so much history there.
Yeah, especially when everybody gets healthy, that'll be a fantastic one.
Exactly, because you had the Jay White, David Finlay, Bullet Club actual like transition to leadership.
Right.
Juice and Finlay were a tag team. That's how they both kind of made it big in New Japan, was Finn Juice together. There's so many good points tying those two teams together. That to me is the dream feud once they can get Jay White and the rest of the Bang Bang Gang healthy right now, because they're really only 3 fights of the way healthy at this point. That's the feud I want, but they're being booked very strong. They just beat Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy in a tag match on Dynamite. Having Gabe get the win. I think they're probably more likely going to win again on Sunday. They're really booked really strongly, and AW needs trios. They've had such a bad trios division for such a long time, where they've had basically at all times another champion being trios champions. I think they have a good chance to, they can obviously have Finn and Gabe do the solo stuff, but I think the trios together at first I like a lot here.
Yeah. I think there is some merit to trying to build up your trios division.
Yeah.
Especially if there's not a huge emphasis on that or the tag division really for the men's side of things. The women's side is getting a lot of emphasis because they only really have the women's championship and the TBS championship and now tag. And it's brand new, so they've got a lot of emphasis on it. I think the trios offers a lot of potential with teams. And I think that they should put stock in it, and having a hot 3-man team come in is going to be good for the trios titles and the trios division. Because, we had the Ops had it. I think they still have it. I can't remember.
Now it's Don Callis' family. That's Fletcher.
Don Callis' family. That's right. Yes.
Fletcher Okada and Fletcher Okada and Mark Davis, and they beat it off Jet Set Rodeo.
Yep. Yeah, because I missed Dynamite a couple of weeks in a row, and so I've been trying to keep up through social media. But yeah, I think almost everybody other than Mark Davis in that group has a singles title. Either that or they're have held some sort of singles title.
Definitely.
And recently, and so it's if you have some groups that are exclusively running trios or exclusively running tag, I think that only makes the divisions better.
I agree. I think also Finlay has just grown because he did an AEW match years ago for them, 3 or 4 years ago, but he was not a big deal. He is definitely, and we've talked about this on the show, he's just one of the more improved guys. Again, that was one of the rare cases where when he became the leader of Bullet Club, a lot of people were just not happy. He got a lot of hate because at the times when they were transitioning guys in and out of the leadership, they seemed like the next guys were prime time superstar level #1 guys. And a lot of people never saw that with him. And to his credit, he really turned himself into a main event level talent for them over the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, he beat Moxley and Ospreay at the Wrestle Kingdom like 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, Wrestle Kingdom 2024, so 3 Wrestle Kingdoms ago. So they put him in really prominent spots. Gabe obviously has turned into a big time star, but I think all of them have, even Clark. Clark honestly has translated the best, I think, to American television.
Yes.
He's done really good for himself. He did a really cool video package on like Collision, I want to say 2 weeks ago, where he's like a cowboy kind of like, and he has the pick and he has the glasses, he's got the hat. Like, I think they do translate really good to American television.
Yeah, I think Clark never really translated well with New Japan. I think he did fine, but like coming back over to America and doing even like just a little bit more character work than what he was doing in New Japan has made leaps and bounds differences in and probably his work rate and probably his amount of TV time he's going to get.
Yeah, and again, he was in a tag team, and again, New Japan saw really high upside with Drilla, and they didn't see that heavyweight division upside with Clark. That's fair to say. But I think Drilla also made the right decision staying. We said that he had a lot of momentum in the heavyweight division. If he's not going to, staying with the tag team with Shingo or just moving on, I think he'll have like a really big G1 this year. I think he'll win he could even make the semifinals this year. I think he's seen as that high of a regard. And Japan, though, is losing. New Japan is losing so many stars that crosses outside of Japan. They are losing a lot of global stars, I think, I would say, at this point. And that's why we said at the Wrestle Kingdom this would be a big gut check year for them, because they did lose all these guys. They did losing 3 of the 4 guys that they were trying to keep. They do have some dual contracts, like Andrade, for example. He goes back and forth. They're going to get Ospreay towards the end of the year, which is exciting. But I think all in all, I think everyone made, by all accounts, the right calls for their careers, I think. I
don't have a problem with any of them where they're at. I think they're all going to do extremely well with where they're at. And not to, diss New Japan, but I think this was the right call for everyone to move up in the world of professional wrestling. I think a lot of those guys had hit their ceilings in New Japan. If they would have stayed around, they would have just been stuck in, 6-8-man tag matches and meaningless spots and just doing whatever to fill a card.
And especially in Finley's shoes, where his whole group got disintegrated the day after Wrestle Kingdom. It was kind of like he's going from Bullet Club leader to what? Just another guy in Tsuji's faction. I think that's a lost scenario for him that doesn't have a lot of edge to it. So I think it's all good. I still think Finley and Gabe in particular will do some New Japan dates. Obviously, I'm not saying Forbidden Door, but I mean actual dates in Japan, for example. There's a big show and they need one of them for a singles match. I'm sure Finley and Gabe will do it.
And I'm assuming whenever New Japan comes around to the US, they'll probably be on the call list at least. Maybe not make the show, but they'll probably be around.
That's a great transition into the New Beginning in USA show, Blackhawk, because that show is definitely full of a lot of not New Japan exclusive guys, right? Because you have Andrade in the main event, you have Athena in the semi-main event, you have Gates of Agony on the show, Takeshita on the show, you have Alec Pierce and Jordan Oliver, you have Ricochet, and you have Finley on the show, right? So these are all people who are not exclusive New Japan people. A lot of them are not even in New Japan and just doing the show with the relationship. Before we get into the actual show, I just say I had a really good time at the show. It was my first ever New Japan show in person. Exclusive. I did go to the Forbidden Door in 2024 in Long Island. That was a really good show, Ospreay and Swerve. But this show was a lot of fun. You can definitely tell. I don't know if it's me being cocky or a jerk, but you can definitely tell the people who are caught up with the product and the people who don't know particular people. But I find that both exciting. Because I remember when Yuto Ice was going for the bomba clap, and you could tell the people who actually watch the product match when he lines up for maybe 10 people, like including myself, yelled it out loud, and everyone's like, "What?" And I was like, "That literally, he does that in every match." But I think it's exciting when they do. They took a break from America last year, and they're coming full steam in America. They're doing the G1 in Chicago. They're promoting that a lot as of late. This show, I was shocked. They got 3,000 people for this show. I thought it was a really good crowd. I thought the arena was also well done. The stage, it was definitely the best production I've ever seen them do for a U.S. show. So, and I thought it was a really damn good show. Like, I thought it was like a 4 out of 5, like excellent show. The matches, Blackhawk, that stood out to me were, I thought Oleg and Ishii was awesome. Like the crowd, that was the one match that had everyone on their feet. Like they just beat the crap out of each other. Especially Bolton. Bolton's not a guy who's translated a lot to American audiences lately. He's not like a known commodity, but as someone who we cover, we love Bolton.
Yes.
We knew Bolton versus Ishii was going to be very good, and it absolutely delivered. I actually shocked they went with the title change, but now learning that Ishii is her makes a lot of sense. I thought another match that stood out was obviously ELP and Takeshita. These guys don't have a bad match together. They did the time limit draw, and then ELP is like, dude, we've already done a time limit draw, 5 more minutes. And then Takeshita winning the World TV title, I think, is very interesting as well. And then the last 2 matches did deliver. Shuri and Athena was really good, and I really loved Tsuji and Andrade. I thought that was such an excellent match. But what were your main takeaways, I guess, Blackhawk, from the show?
Definitely that New Japan can still run US shows and draw a crowd, which is good. I want them to do more US dates. Not just because, I live in America, but it'll be on at a reasonable time. But I think the US is such a untapped market for them that they have kind of tapped in and tapped out of so frequently, that if they're really trying to expand and grow the business and get the money they need for these big contracts to keep people, they've got to use the US, they've got to use Europe, they've got to go on these international tours for just a little bit. Maybe it's just one show, maybe it's a week somewhere. They've got to be using these audiences across the world to grow the name, grow their product. Because not everybody knows New Japan. As big as they are, not everybody knows New Japan.
Most people in the States know them just from AEW.
Exactly. And so they don't know what's actually happening in New Japan. They might keep up with it on Twitter or whatever in case, they have a crossover with AEW. But that's like the extent of their knowledge. Nobody's, they're not, there's not a ton of people that are picking up and watching New Japan weekly in the United States. And so I think that's a huge market for them that they could use, and putting on shows like this in the US consistently will do great things for them. Like the back half of the show was probably one of the better ones in the US this year, just in general across the board. And it's still early in the year, so it's only 3rd month of the year. We'll get some better shows along the line, but starting out, this is definitely one of the best ones in the US. So
I agree. I thought it was an excellent show. There are definitely some things missing. Like, again, I thought Finley's match kind of went longer than I was expecting with him and Rosser. I was like, this is a lot. Ricochet, I thought he was good on the show.
Yes.
I thought Kushida and Despy was a better match than I was expecting, because I think they really did a good job showcasing Alec and Jordan, who are young, up-and-coming talents, already got signed by AEW. Hey, Randy, see you in the chat on Facebook. Welcome. But they definitely need – this is the first time New Japan needs stars to cross over to America. They've always had a lot of good foreigners in Japan that cross over very easily and gets people attention here watching New Japan. they just don't have that a lot anymore. And you can really see that on this card because, again, half this card were not their wrestlers. And I think Rocky even said in interviews he wanted to use CMLL talent, but again, there was Fantastic and Mania literally at the same time, so they couldn't use any like. So I think next time they would love to use also luchadors consistently on these shows as well, which I think is smart. And that's what they got. They have an advantage with their relationship with New Japan and AEW with CMLL and AEW that they should be using those talents on the American shows. Takeshita,
I would love for them to use these talents, but also I would like for them to put a little more emphasis on their own talents that they're bringing over. Because this did feel like an unofficial Forbidden Door show where it was just AEW versus New Japan almost the entire way up the card. So I would have loved to see some more, New Japan matches. To hate on AEW, but this is like a New Japan show. I would love to see more New Japan stuff.
I agree. I think for them, they're at a crossroads where it's a lot of money to fly out so much of the Japanese talent that, they flew out Tsuji, Shuri, Oscar, and utilize ELP, Kushida and Despy, Taiji Ishimori, Ishii and Oleg. And then, Ishii was already there. So Oleg. And so it's a lot of talent they would have to fly in for those. But I agree with you. Now, that's what's exciting about the G1 is that they're going to have to fly out all those talent out there. So that I think is going to be their biggest risk, right? The show where it's mostly like, sure, could Andrade and Takeshita do the G1 this year? Probably. I think they're both probably going to be in this year. But outside of that, they're going to have to use all these Japanese wrestlers for the show. So, like, even like some of their foreign talent, like I was shocked Zach was not on this show. I was shocked. Gabe, for example, wasn't on the show. There's a lot of people I was like, this is weird that they're not on the show. But I actually was shocked Tsuji retained. Because we were talking about this, because this was for the global title, for the world title. And I was like, it makes sense to just have him drop one of the titles already. Why could you just keep carrying around the two? But he beat Andrade, and now he's using the Boston Crab as a finish now. He's made Andrade and Takeshita tap out to the Boston Crab already this year.
Yeah, I think this was like, it's felt like the perfect opportunity to, drop that belt and let him focus on, the heavyweight.
Yeah.
But I guess Ghetto has a plan.
I think they wanted a stamp that this is our number one guy in the U.S. crowd. This is our guy. This is the biggest name in New Japan at this point. He's the number one guy. He's the golden boy, whatever you want to call it, the QB1. He's the guy for New Japan. And if he, on the first show in a year there, he just loses his title already. I think some people are like, Tsuji, he's really the guy for you guys. He's losing on. So that was what I came to my conclusion when he lost. Again, I don't think like Andrade needs the title, but I was shocked because they did this whole tournament of here's Andrade versus Gabe. Winner gets Tsuji. Like, okay, one of those guys makes sense to be, Tsuji.
Exactly, yeah.
But I think it was just the fact that they want the show to end with a New Japan guy, like, Andrade signed to New Japan, but he's dual contract. He's the guy of New Japan. And tell everyone in the States who maybe aren't familiar with him, hey, guys, this is our number one talent. So I totally get it from that perspective. Shuri beating Athena made a lot of sense. I think Athena needs another title. Shuri just lost the title, by the way, at the show last week to Alex Windsor. So Alex Windsor is now the champion, which is, I think, really awesome. The only match I was like, this happened was the Gates of Agony and Knockout Brothers. Like that kind of like existed. It didn't have to be like an 18-minute match. They're both really good teams. I thought it was solid. I didn't think it was great. Takeshita and ELP, it is so funny how they can just wrestle for days, these guys. Like they have such chemistry, and people don't bring that up with the Takeshita, but he has such good chemistry with ELP, Blackhawk.
Yeah, that match was, I feel like every time I watch them, I'm shocked at how good they are together.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I remember like the last couple of matches, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I forgot. They're actually good. They've never had a bad match.
Yes.
I am kind of surprised that they gave Takeshita the TV title.
It wasn't like a strong title. It was the actual TV title. Yeah.
Yeah. It does mean that he will have to be doing more New Japan dates, which is great. I love that because I do love him. But I don't know what ELP does now. that he doesn't have that belt.
He's so synonymous with it.
Yeah. So yeah, it does leave a huge question mark for ELP. Takeshita has a lot going on everywhere else. He didn't really have to take it.
I get why they did it, though. I do get why they did it.
I get it because he's hot. Like
that in person, that moonsault from in the ring to the crowd was insane in person. Because I've seen ELP do that for years, where he moves the guardrails up and he jumps into the crowd to tope onto people from the top rope. And he did a full moonsault, and it was a jaw-dropping thing to watch in person. Like, because I was at the Forbidden Door. I was at the Forbidden Door when Takeshita did that Blue Thunder Bomb through the table against ELP, and that's what started. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, ELP and Takeshita!" That was at a great spot. And New Japan thought it was such a good spot that they made a whole. Here we are now. It's March of 2026, like a 2.5-year feud with them, wrestling like 5 or 6 times against each other over it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so if Takeshita wins, when will he go to New Japan? Because I still think he's going to be engulfed in AEW. We'll talk about what we think could happen with him on Sunday. But I thought it was a really good show. Their next big show is G1. That would be a really big test for them, I think. Like getting all those Japanese guys in the States for one day, because it's day one of the tournament is all 10 matches are singles matches. They're all block matches. So they're really going full steam ahead with the G1 at the Now Arena. I'm really excited for it. I think they have a chance to really deliver there and give the Japanese talent some major exposure, Blackhawk, over here in the States.
I agree. At this current moment, I plan on being there, so I am very, very excited for that.
Dude, yes.
I think the G1 will be pivotal to New Japan's new, I wouldn't want to call it new era.
Yeah.
It's just not something that they really do, but it is kind of a newish era for them with a lot of talent leaving. They've got to make some new stars.
Yep.
And they've got to get world support. They can't rely on just Japan's support anymore. They've got to start pooling from other countries, and they may not have to take roster members from other countries, but they've got to definitely show up in their country and take their money. That's at a baseline.
For them. And they can't just they did a lot of forgettable shows over the last 3 years there.
Yeah.
And they need, like, this show was really good, and I think the show in Chicago, I'm pumped, dude. Like, for both of us to be attending both shows is awesome. I think it's a lot of fun. I can't wait to hear your experience going to the G1.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited.
I should have I'm doing some stuff for Body Slam yet. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to be doing, but as well as that, I'll be doing some stuff for my own personal channel. So
fantastic.
Be on the lookout for that.
And obviously,
anybody interested.
And obviously, we'll be breaking down the G1, giving our predictions.
Correct.
We'll break down that show exclusively. I want you to tell your experience of being in there in person and the crowd and everything like that. So I'm very excited to hear your thoughts. Talk about all these people. Let's talk about AEW Revolution, which is this upcoming Sunday. We are going to be doing the full-fledged review. I hope we're definitely going to be starting when it's Monday morning, technically, but it could be a long night. There are 13 matches on the show. There's a 1-hour pre-show at 7 with 3 matches, and then there's a 10-match main card. And I think they've announced everything at this point, but we'll see on Saturday on Collision if they have added new things. But let's break down this card and let's go through our wins, losses, and then that'll be it for today. Willow is defending both her titles on this show, so let's kind of combine those matches. So she's defending the TBS title on 0 Hour against Lena Cross, and then she's defending the tag titles with Harley against Lena Cross and Megan Bayne. So what I think they're going to do is have Willow beat Lena Cross for the TBS title, but I think Megan and Lena Cross will become the new tag team champions. I'm kind of tired of Willow having both belts because they've obviously prioritized her as a tag champion, but it's made the TBS title completely off the show for a long time. So I think give Megan a title finally. Her and Lena too, like that's a really cool pairing. Obviously, it sucks Penelope is out again with another injury, but I think the story here is Willow's going to defend both titles. It's going to cost her having to defend both, and It'll be a solid match of 0 Hour, but I think it sets up Megan and Lena to become the new tag champions on the main show. What do you think about that, Blackhawk?
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like the TBS title needs to feel important on for AEW. Tag titles are brand new. They're the first holders, so it doesn't feel bad to like drop it to another team at this point. So I couldn't think of a better team than Megan Bayne and Lena Cross to drop it to. Megan Bayne's been a solid competitor for AEW.
So good.
All year, last year, and the beginning of this year. She definitely deserves some flowers somewhere.
Seriously.
And a tag title belt. There's a great opportunity for that.
Yeah, I mean, Megan, talking about our Japan show, she does Stardom a lot. So she works a lot. But she's, I think, a top person for AEW in the future.
Yeah,
so
100%.
I'm excited for her to get
she's definitely future women's champion. She'll hold the TBS belt at some point. She's gonna hold all the gold at some point.
And again, Willow beat Mercedes, right? And
right.
That should have been a bigger deal. And again, I thought her and Persephone had a really good match on Wednesday, but you want to see Willow focus TBS title-wise, because I think we're going to get Mercedes back quite soon. If not Sunday, then soon. Big Boom AJ, QT Marshall, they're going to win because they're facing the Infantry. Charlie, my guys from ROH, Sean Dean and Carly Bravo, love the Infantry, love STP. They're not beating Big Boom AJ and QT.
Nah.
They're not.
It's big boom season, baby.
I'm shocked they're still doing this, because when they like finally signed on, it was like they were really in the pop culture zeitgeist. I'm just not sure they like add anything to the show anymore other than like they're just an act now. And again, it is harmless. It's the pre-show. It's not the main show, but they've definitely lost their pop culture popularity, I would say, since signing with AEW. Not that AEW caused it, but just they're still popular.
Yeah.
They're not like the top of the
They're not, yeah.
Tongue,
I think at one point they were like in the face of the world, and now they've become a little more niche, but they're still very beloved. Rizzler, like I used to see Rizzler on my phone almost every day unintentionally.
Me too.
And so their popularity has kind of dwindled a little bit, which is fine. They weren't going to remain popular forever.
Yeah.
But there's still huge, 0 hour draws for AEW. People are going to still come out and see them. People are still going to watch 0 hour because, Big Boom AJ is going to be there. Rizzler will be there. Probably Big Justice. The whole fam's going to be there.
Probably. Why not? Paul White's always there.
Exactly. And so it's just fun. Like there's nothing harmful about it. It's extremely harmless.
Yeah.
It's going to be entertaining regardless of what happens. Like it's such a safe move. It's the best thing you can do for a pre-show match is just run, Big Boom AJ and QT Marshall against some other tag team, some other heel tag team you've got, and just let them have fun.
I agree. And I also think, I think Carly Bravo, he's such a funny wrestler. He yells a lot. He's talks a lot. He'll be fun to go oppose them. The fun match, the kind of up in the air match on the 0 hour, is this Blackjack Battle Royal for the national title. The only confirmed names are obviously Ricochet. And then they dropped on Wednesday that Ciampa will be in this match. I still think it's probably going to come down to Ricochet and Jack Perry because they've been feuding lately. Based on them doing a Blackjack Battle Royal, though, it kind of leaves it up for grabs on if there's like, I don't know who could return or who could surprise. Because with these Battle Royals, I like to have something of a surprise for them. Some people are like dreaming up like Keith Lee. I would love for Keith Lee to come back.
Yeah.
I'm dying for it. I still think this is kind of like a Ricochet win. Just keep the title. I think Ciampa's doing other things than the national. Again, there's so many titles, but I don't think he needs to be the national champion. What are your thoughts on this Blackjack Battle Royal?
I think Ricochet will retain. I think he's done a really good job with the national championship with what little they've done with it so far.
Yeah.
And I think he is, a notable face with AEW. I think dropping it to Ciampa now would be a little crazy because people probably will still believe Ciampa's with WWE for another like month or two until they've kind of like finally caught up with everything. And so dropping a national title where it's supposed to be defended on indie shows and across the nation is a little odd. But I think Ricochet is well established AEW talent. You're going to get a good match out of him every time he shows up. This is, I think it's just a shoe in for him to win and hold the title again.
Glorious Pete is happy.
Glorious Pete.
That you are live.
What's up, my guy?
Welcome in. Let's get to the main show as we quickly, the Dogs versus Darby, OC, and Roddy. Who do you got?
I think I want Darby, OC, and Roddy. I really do. I like that crew, but I think the momentum swing right now is with the Dogs.
Yeah.
And I think they'll take that one home. I just don't see. I love the other team so much, but I don't see right now that they win this match.
I agree. These are my Dogs for real. I'm pulling for the Dogs. So am I. They're going to win, and I think they're going to do the full Roddy turns on OC angle here. He, a month ago, stopped in a tag match, tagging with him. He came back, made the save. I think they're going to just either he joins the Dogs Roddy or he is just done with OC and we do a Roddy OC feud. I just don't see them winning. I think the Dogs need this win. This is their first pay-per-view match on AEW. Get them the win. We already talked about the women's tag. Timeless Toni Storm, Marina Shafir. Everyone is banned from ringside. I am going to take the upset, and I think Marina Shafir is going to win this match. I don't think Toni is in the picture for the world title or the TBS title. She can keep doing tag stuff with Mina, and I think this really puts Marina Shafir as a potential TBS challenger for Willow. So I think Marina Shafir, who's the ultimate badass, she's one of the most talked about people that, as Moxley said in an interview this week, the heart and soul of the Death Riders. I think Marina is going to win. I know a lot of people are picking Toni. I am going to pick Marina.
I personally would love if Marina won. I think it would be great for her. I really personally, I'm a huge fan of the Death Riders. Ever since Mox dropped the title, I've been a massive fan of the Death Riders. So I've been a fan of Marina. So I hope she wins. I hope she gets over to the TBS championship, and I hope she can take it off Willow and maybe just have a month-long run with it, and they drop it to somebody else. And I think the TBS title, after being on Mercedes for so long, needs to have a little bit of a toss around for a little bit, and then find a solid competitor. Because I think Willow needs to be in that upper echelon of the card, pushing for the women's championship.
Sure.
And not that she can't do that with the TBS belt. It just doesn't make sense for her to do it with the TBS belt.
I agree. So you're picking Toni, or you're picking Marina?
I'm taking Marina.
Yeah, TV title toss around. I've loved that they've gone Briscoe, Ciampa, Fletcher in a month.
I agree. Yeah.
I've enjoyed it. Roddy joined the Dogs. I said that out loud. I think it could be interesting. Roddy's always good in a faction. He's always worthwhile in a faction. So maybe I still think more interesting is just Roddy does his own stuff and just feuds with OC. But we shall see. Don Callis family versus Jet Speed and Mystico for the trios titles. Happy to get Mystico on the card. He's obviously the number one guy for CMLL. But I still think they're not done yet with the Don Callis family. They are going to retain after just beating Hangman and Jet Speed last week. So I have the Don Callis family. Who do you got, Blackhawk?
I've got the Don Callis family. Same. Just about the same reason. Another thing, I don't think Mystico will probably be doing a ton of AEW dates.
Wow.
And so it would be hard for him to be a trios champion. So I do think that, they'll retain. Don Callis family will reign supreme once again.
Yes. Let's move on to the Women's World Championship. 2 out of 3 falls. Tekla defending against Chris Statlander. Who do you got, Blackhawk, in this one?
I know it's been a short reign, but I think that Chris Statlander takes it back tonight. I really do. I think I think they're gonna kind of open the floor for the AEW Women's Championship and start moving people up into that division. There hasn't been a lot of movement in the last even couple of years of people into the upper echelon division,
Yep.
and so I think having such like a flash champion where it's not really like we're holding it for the next person. It's there's people fighting desperately to hold this belt. Is good for the division and bringing some people up to move into those matches with Chris Statlander, matches against Tekla, moving people around trying to find another person to take that belt would be fantastic for the women's division.
I disagree. I love Tekla. We've talked about my love of Tekla for a long time. She's going to win. I think she's awesome. I think she's easily the best thing that happened to the women's division since she signed. And I think it's too early. She beat Rosa after winning the title off Stat. Stat's been in this picture for a very long time. I think it's time for Stat to move on to something else. And I think Tekla's going to win. But I think it's closer than people think. But I agree. They could go both ways. Brody King and Swerve, a feud I am so hyped about. It was all off of a Kenny Omega Swerve feud where Kenny's like, actually, Brody King is the most dangerous man in AEW. And that started this whole feud with Swerve and Brody. Swerve's going to win. He just beat Kenny Omega. He's full on a heel now, which I think is really exciting. Really pumped for Brody to be in such a big spot. He feels like he's in the upper echelon top half of the company now, who feels like he could be a world champion in the next year or two. But I think Swerve is going to win. Blackhawk, who do you got?
I agree. As much as I want a Brody King, singles pay-per-view victory, it'll have to wait. Because I think they're really building Swerve back up again. And this will be, honestly, Brody King hasn't had a lot of accolades outside of the trios titles, but he's a huge name with the company. And so a victory over him in a big spot like this, even for somebody like Swerve, is a big moment because Brody King feels like one of those guys that could, take on God at any moment and maybe pull out a victory.
Yeah.
And so it's just like getting one over on Brody King on a big event is good on any resume.
I agree. Then we got Andrade versus Bandito. Now, what's weird in this match is that this is not for the Ring of Honor World title. I was like, just put the title on the line. I don't know if they're doing it because Andrade is definitely winning this match, I think. This probably will steal the show on this. Like, Andrade has been on such a heater since in this year so far.
Yes. Yeah.
I know they taped Collision, but reports are him and Mascara Devon had an amazing match on Collision. I can't wait to watch it, but I got him and Suji. Him and New Japan's been really good, but his stuff in AEW, he beat Kenny Omega. He beat Swerve already this year. He's winning this match. I think this must set up for a Ring of Honor World title match down the line, but I think TK, they see him as a premier guy as well. So what are your thoughts on Andrade and Bandito on Sunday?
Yeah, I think this will be sneak match of the night. Everybody's looking at the Texas Death Match. I think this will blow everybody's socks off, and then we'll have our minds blown before the end of the event.
I would start the show with this. I would.
They're starting the show?
No, I said I would start the show with it.
Oh, yeah. No, I would have 100% start the show with this. Because if the Texas Death doesn't live up to the hype,
sure,
this will blow it out of the water and nobody will remember it. But yeah, I think Andrade will win. I do think this sets up for Ring of Honor World title match. And it's going to be, they're probably going to go on a series, and I can't wait for it.
Glorious Pete's going to make him take his shirt off watching that match. It's going to be a lot of people are going to be jabbing him. Bandito, I thought, was the best in-ring performer in 2025. He's kind of been banged up, so they haven't used him a lot in the rings beginning of this year, but this will be a really good showcase. Let's get the big three matches. Moxley defends the Continental title against Takeshita. No time limit. I think Takeshita is going to win the title. I think Moxley has done a lot with it. I like the fact that Don Callis' family is going to be getting all these championships. But the whole point of the story is like on Wednesday, they were beating up, the Don Callis were beating up Moxley, and they hand Takeshita the chair. He's like, no, it's like me and him one-on-one. This is a continental match, so there can't be any interference. And that's why I think Takeshita is winning. Because I think if there was interference, I think that actually would cost Takeshita the match. Because I think he'd be like, I don't want to cheat to win. I don't think it hurts Moxley at all. He can move on to other things. He's done an amazing job with this title. He's had bangers every week. That doesn't have to stop because he's not a Continental champion. But I think the big match for AEW this year is Okada versus Takeshita versus Fletcher. 3-way, huge match. I don't know when they'll do it, if it's a double or nothing or it's an all-in scenario. But I think it starts with Takeshita winning the Continental Championship. But I really don't know who they're going to have win this match. But Blackhawk, who do you have?
Yeah, I'm also just torn down the middle. Talked about earlier, big Death Riders guy. John Moxley, #1 Death Rider. I also love Takeshita. He wrestles in a very, very appealing style to me. So even if like his match isn't historically good, or like Meltzer doesn't like it, I still usually enjoy him just because of the style that he works. And so I think they're going to have a great match. If Mox drops the title, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
If Mox retains, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. I think he might be dropping the belt on Sunday to Takeshita.
Then we have FTR versus the Bucks. Once again, my two favorite tag teams of all time. Another one I'm very torn on. I still think FTR is going to win because I still think, for some reason, I have the feeling that Jet Speed is going to be the ones who take the titles off of FTR. I still have the feeling they believe so much in Knight and Speedball. Maybe they see them more as singles guys after this show. I could be wrong. And if they do, Bucks possibly. I just think FTR is going to retain. I don't think the Bucks need the titles again. This FTR reign has kind of been ups and downs, and I still think they're maybe waiting for Cope and Christian to do a tag title match. I don't know. Percy Jackson finally wrapped filming today, I believe, so he should be off the books now. He could come back now whenever. I still think FTR is going to win. I leaned the Bucks when they announced this match, and I was like, I think there's more interesting teams to dethrone FTR than the Bucks. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree.
I love the Bucks.
I think they'll probably, they'll probably move, Jet Speed out of the trios division pretty soon.
Finally,
back into just the tag division.
Yep.
And so I think that we'll probably get, FTR probably win. We'll probably move into Open Christian. And I'm still pretty torn between the two on that one, but I do think whoever comes out of that feud, Jet Speed takes it from them.
I think it's what separates the AEW from all the companies. They do have so many matches on these shows that you just don't know who's winning, and that is a rarity on a pro wrestling show.
Oh yeah, 100%.
The main event, though, I am oddly extremely confident in who's going to win. It is MJF versus Hangman, Texas Death. If Hangman wins, he can no longer challenge for the world title ever, which is basically Cody Rhodes stipulation. When Cody was in AEW, he lost to, he even lost to MJF for the stipulation. I do think MJF is winning. Like, I'm oddly very confident they're having Max win, and they're going to have Hangman. I think with the stipulation, in a year or two, they could have Hangman be like in a situation where someone has to fight him, and Hangman's like, the only way I'm fighting you is if I get a chance to be at the world title again. Like, it's scripted. They can write their ways out of this stipulation. I just don't know if they're going Hangman just to win the title. I really think MJF is going to win. Hangman beat him twice last year, including at last year's Revolution. I'm oddly confident MJF is going to win and Hangman is going to be stuck with the stipulation. What are your thoughts, Blackhawk?
I am also very torn about this. I don't really even know. Because they threw out the stipulation, that ended so poorly for Cody.
Yeah, made it uninteresting in AEW. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I don't know that they want to run it again because it didn't go well the last time.
That's true.
And so it might be one of those things where they throw it out to draw interest. Hangman wins, and then whatever, like MJF gets it back pretty soon. Like, I don't know. But throwing the stipulation out, throwing the stipulation out is huge, especially for someone like Hangman, who is one of their top 5 guys.
Yes.
For him not to be able to challenge for an AEW title, like for however long they do it, is probably bad for business. Number one. Number two, Number two, like, you've got to ride around it now for however long you plan to do it. And he's been at the top of the card for the last 2 years. Like, you've built him up to be the guy, and then you pull the rug out from under him, and what do you do with him now? So I feel like it has to be Hangman. Otherwise, a lot of hard work just goes in the bin.
It's a weird thing. I just think they're having Max win. I don't think this is it for him as the champ. Now you can say Hangman beats him here. MJF can beat him at Double or Nothing. There could be a thing, because for some, not that he's going to get physical. I think Ospreay will come out to end the show to be like, I am back, like on the ramp or something. It can mean the same thing if whoever wins the match. Like, I know Hangman beat Ospreay to get that title match All In last year. I am fascinated because it is a like company changing move who they have win this match, because Hangman is not like, it's not like a joke. Like, he does feel like the main character of the show.
Yes. Yeah.
And if the main character of the show isn't able to wrestle for the world title, now again, there's a billion championships in AEW. You could have an amazing TNT title reign. You can have a national champion reign. He can the Continental Championship. You can win this. He can win the C2 1 year, for example. But it does take him out of a main event title picture. And again, it backfired with Cody. They could be like, well, we learned our lesson with Cody. Now we know how to book someone in this position again. It is a risk having him, because the question is, like, that's the thing. If you do this stipulation, he loses. You actually, like, from a crowd perspective, you do want to see them live up to this stipulation for a long time. Like, you don't want to see this unresolved in like 6 months. Right? Because it's such a big thing to do. Like, if Hangman loses, like, he can't challenge for the title at least this year, not even next year for many people. Like, they want to see people
something drastic has to happen in like 2028 for me to be like, okay, this stipulation actually mattered. And that's like, so far away.
Like, if Hangman and Swerve don't wrestle each other for years, and maybe Swerve's a champion and Swerve's like, I have to wrestle to you, and it has to be for this title, or something that has to make the stipulation go away, which I think is a realistic thing. You can write around it or write out of this in years.
Oh yeah.
My thing is, I don't think you can do that in this year and maybe even next year. Like, this
definitely not. Yeah.
If you do, let's just say this year, let's say a full gear, Hangman's already in a world title match after he loses. Everyone's like, well, this stipulation didn't matter because in 8 months he was already back for the title. So it's going to be controversial if MJF wins, obviously. And if Hangman wins, I'm not sure it'll be controversial. I think people will be excited for Hangman, but boy, it's going to get people talking if MJF wins this match.
Oh, yeah.
I think he is, though. I think they're going to end with him winning. And Hangman, I don't know if it's a depressed Hangman. I don't know if it's a lost Hangman.
The only thing I could see is, like, Hangman puts that stipulation up, and then after a couple of weeks, he just goes full blown, like,
insane
murderous villain.
Yep.
And just starts, like, destroying stuff until they're like, they have to put him back in that title picture.
Like,
that's the only really
people or beating people up.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're gonna do with Hangman, because they do have so many baby faces at the top. Because again, Kenny will be back after Revolution. Ospreay's coming back. Now again, they did just turn Swerve heel, Andrade heel. Again, we don't see Takeshita, Fletcher, Okada as going for the world title anytime soon. It's a fascinating conundrum for Tony. I always hate these stipulations. The Cody one just so backfired, and he became so uninteresting. The crowd completely turned on Cody. Now, I don't think that will happen with Hangman. Who knows?
No.
And I don't think it was Cody's fault.
No.
I think people wanted some edge to him because that's what we were talking about, right? Which is when Cody lost that stipulation match, he was the same Cody Rhodes until he left AEW, right? We see Hangman completely changing character arc if he loses this match. So I don't think it will have the same effect, but I'm really excited because Revolution, I thought maybe was their best show last year, that or All In. They put I do think like everyone, Double or Nothing really was the ultimate show for them at the beginning of their time. Obviously, All In is their WrestleMania moment for them. They put a lot into Revolution. Like I think it's probably their second most important show of the year. It's at the Crypto.com Arena, which is Staples Center, which is a 18,000 seat. It's the biggest arena AEW runs outside of All In. So it's a big show for them. Very important. It's Los Angeles. So I think this could go down as one of the best shows of the year. The in-ring work on this show is unbelievable. But I'm fascinated. I cannot wait. We're probably going to be talking about this show until like 2 or 3 in the morning on, my time on the East Coast. So my Monday will be kind of thrown for a loop. But there's nothing better I would rather be doing at 2 a.m. than talking AEW with you. And Corey is going to be joining us, I believe, on Sunday, which I'm really excited for. Just want to say thanks for everyone. We got a lot more people than I was expecting because we kind of just did this show out of the blue because we were both finally available to do a show together. So I just want to say thanks for everyone who joined us. Really appreciate it. Blackhawk, tell people where they can find you and what you do for Body Slam as well.
For Body Slam, I make the dream clips from shows just like this to post on social media. You can follow me at Blackhawk Walker on every platform, but on Instagram, it's the Blackhawk Walker. I've started picking up streaming again, so I should be doing that. I don't have an official schedule or anything yet, but I'll make announcements when I'm going to do it. So more content is coming out of that side of me soon. So be on the lookout, I guess.
That is awesome. You can find me at Max Dinenberg on Instagram, Dinenberg Max on Twitter. I do all the highs and lows of Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, and Collision basically every single night. I host all of the post shows for PLEs or pay-per-views. So last weekend, me and Corey did the post show for NXT Vengeance Day. I'm doing the post show with Blackhawk on Sunday for Revolution. There's going to be a lot of post shows because we're going to have Stand and Deliver in early April. And then in mid-April, we got WrestleMania with Rami, night 1 and night 2. So it's back to, with AEW not having this is their first pay-per-view of the year, and it's midway through March. It's you're not really in that group, but now I think starting last week of Vengeance Day, we're kind of being like an every weekend post-show groove of the things, which will be fun. So please join us. It's so many people joining us for the NXT Vengeance Day. If you have any questions for Corey, he'll be breaking a lot of news. Please subscribe to BodySlam.net on Patreon. Really help support everyone who works here for BodySlam. We have breaking news every single day on Patreon.com. /BodySlam. So that link right below. So please click that put that in and please subscribe. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're back to having post shows for every single major pro wrestling show again. We're back in full ways here in 2026, making sure that Body Slam is one of the best news sites you can find in the world. I've been Max Dinenberg. That's in Blackhawk. Please join us every Friday for the most part, around 5 to 7, I'll say 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. That time is when we'll usually do our Tour of Japan episodes. Next week, we're going to break down the New Japan Cup, who could possibly win the New Japan Cup, the finals, or I think the day after our show. So next week, we'll break the New Japan Cup. Any news coming from Noah, Marigold, and Stardom we'll also break down next week. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you guys in another video here on BodySlam.net. Very soon.
Oh, thank you! Oh, thank you! Thank you!